All right. So, welcome. It's August. Can you believe it? In fact, it's nearly mid-August.
Wow.
Gosh, it's pretty amazing, isn't it? A year.
It's just
We
zipping
say it
by,
every year,
isn't
don't we?
it?
We say it every year, but it just goes faster and faster. But so, wow, what an awesome reason just to stop stuffing around, hey? Get on with our life. Get on with living our life. Get on with doing what we need to do because it's going to go very quickly. Anyway, good to see you all. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. I know it's good evening in Colorado. It's good evening in Pennsylvania. That's where you are, Sheree. Oh no, you're in Missouri. Is that right, Sheree?
Yes,
It's
Missouri.
evening for you, and Fred, it's afternoon in California.
California, yes.
And it's morning here in Australia, and it's a bit earlier for Kat.
Well, good morning.
Poor old Kat, she gets a dud end on a Saturday morning. Oh, that's what happens.
Yeah.
So wonderful to see everyone. Always to see your beautiful faces. So there's lots of exciting things happening. It's just, and I guess with the exception of Fred, who's on the verge of publishing his first book, there's lots of people that have just published books, but they're not here yet. So, or they're not here. So anyway, seize the day, Kat. Exactly. Okay, so why don't we just start and just let's just see where we're at. Anyone that's got anything they want to share, where they're at, any breakthroughs, any cool news that they've got. Let's kick it off. Let's open it up. I want to get the ball rolling.
Motivation. Oh, no, it's fine.
Sorry, who was that? Christina, Christina, you go, and then Karen.
Okay. Well, I've been typing for more than a year. I'm up to 75,000 words. It started off as a memoir, then it turned into my story, and I think I finally found out the core of the story, and it's probably what you said, Andrew, on one of our first meetings. And I think I'm going to be able to do it, and it means I need to strip out the extra stuff, but it's been a very enlightening, thoughtful process where I've had realizations about things that happened decades ago. So it's been very helpful, very useful. And yeah, I sort of know what I need to do now. Last week, I don't know if it was Denise or somebody else has done something similar, typed forever, and now finally figured out a way to put it together. So yeah, I'm happy that's where I'm at. And I just wanted to congratulate Paul, the illustrator, from the meeting where Paul took the notes of the meeting and did it in illustration, and you sent it to us, the open forum.
Yeah.
And I think it's absolutely fantastic. It's a perfect how-to guide that makes me smile. And I think I'll need a few diagrams and pictures when I do my book, so I'm hoping he might be able to help.
I'm sure he will.
So, yeah.
That's awesome, Christina. Thank you for that. And there's a really powerful message there, and it is just right. You've got to get that first draft done, don't you, just before, and it's in that writing of that first draft that you start to get some clarity around what direction it's going to take. And you've done that. You've hung in there, and now you're getting the insights, which is awesome. So well done. That's great.
Hi, everyone.
Hello, Annie.
Sorry, I'm a bit late.
That's all right.
Hello, Annie.
Hello.
Good to see you, Annie. Karen. Now, can I just, sorry, I'm getting a little bit of background noise here. So if you're not speaking, can you just pop yourself on mute? That's it. Thanks. Karen, good to see you.
Thank you. Nice to see everyone too.
Did you want to share something?
Oh, just motivation on these cooler mornings, cool, wet mornings. It's supposed to be, I'm in Queensland, so it's supposed to be sunny Queensland. And it's not at the moment, not today. It's just cold and wet, and just trying to get motivated to do stuff, including writing or editing or whatever you're doing. And I'm just wondering how everyone else pushes through on those days where you just don't feel like doing anything.
Good question. Let's see who's got the answers. All right, Fred.
Well, Karen, hello, and everybody. Appreciate the wet weather. We haven't had wet weather in months. We're just really dry and fear fires and everything. So be grateful for the weather. Be grateful you having water. That's my advice.
That's good advice. That's awesome advice. I mean, isn't it interesting how when you can find gratitude, that will actually move you. That will really help with that motivation piece. When you can sit there and think, okay, well, this is not normal for Queensland, that's for sure. But rain's good. We need it.
Having said that, we had 1.5 meters of rain in the first half of this year.
Yeah.
Well, you can send some. Maybe you can package some up and send some rain to California.
I will, Fred.
Send some to Fred. Kat.
I have been struggling this winter with it's been really, really cold in Perth, and Perth's not designed for cold. So the houses are not designed for it. So, it's been 4 degrees outside and 4 degrees inside, which is fresh. So for coming into winter, like I had my morning routine and it had its things, and I got up and I did my yoga and none of that has been happening. And one thing I've been doing is that I've been taking restock moments. So for me, it works monthly, but one of my friends is doing the same thing and she's doing them basically weekly. I just sit down for the amount of time it takes and I look at what my goals are. Like I use a specific system to structure it out, but I write down what I'm trying to do and the why. And then I also, this time I did a what's working, what's not, and what was working that I'd like to reintroduce. And then I just worked through what is working. And I was like, cool, let's just keep those things unblocked so I can keep going it. The what was working that's no longer working, I then was able to do a bit of an exercise on to like what and why. So the morning yoga isn't working because it's cold. So I'm looking at like a timer on a heater so that I could actually get the room warmer before I even wake up. So it's like not all of those are going to be achievable. And also it's finally becoming spring. So some of them I don't need right now, but I also just have been changing this is just not working. I can't go running. It's just way too wet and slicky and whatever. So what can I do instead for now? How can I put that on pause for now, but then do something like that's still answering my why if that what isn't there. So with the writing, I've actually found the same thing because I've been getting so tired by the end of the day because it's dreary and after a long day of work, it's just feeling so I've regrouped what I'm going to do into different categories. So I can either be doing this or this or this. And then I've just written out a whole bunch of little empty boxes. And then I just want to fill one box each day. It doesn't matter in which category. It doesn't matter how big an action. It's just if I do any action on any of those. And so I've just taken the big and made it into a bunch of little, because otherwise I was just feeling the like pressure of like, I'm not doing anything. But that wasn't quite true. I wasn't doing what I was, but it wasn't working for me right now. So I'm just acknowledging where I'm at and then moving forward. And I want to get back to my morning yoga, but I'm also letting the sun help me. Like he will come back out, I swear. So that's what I did. And I did a big regroup on the what is not. And I also did what is not working. And I identified what I'm doing that I don't want to be doing as much, like just flipping on the TV in the evening and plopping on the couch as a real like, oh, I'm so tired. So finding some of those behaviors that I know I'm bringing in, I can then call them out when I'm doing them. So it's just, I think the whole thing this month took me like less than an hour to sit down in my notebook and do, and it's been a better month so far. So that would be my recommendation.
Beautiful. Thank you, Kat. Been lots of little positive comments come in the chat, Kat. So when you get a chance, have a look at those. That's wonderful. Anyone else got any? Cherie?
I actually remembered to unmute this time before you had to tell me. I am so proud of myself.
Well done. Good job.
How is everyone? I'm so excited. Yeah, it's been interesting up and down. I had my computer, Apple held it hostage for over a week and a half. So I did a meltdown and then I was back again. But I was going to say, as far as productivity, yeah, sometimes you just kind of freeze. And for me, reaching out to other people is always my cure. It's the antidote. It has to be. I will go out, like in the summertime, I mentor 1 or 2 high school writers. So right now I'm just finishing up with a young man. Normally they write a short story. This young man, he's 37 chapters and it's a fantasy dystopian. And yes, so I thought, oh my, what a project, but it's been great because I get a lot of inspiration from that. So rather than, I just network again when I get like that, because I hate it when I can't write. And I just got my manuscript back from a beta reader, 11 years old, and all the feedback was just so much fun. Yeah, I mean, really good. So now I'm getting ready to finish editing and polishing it up, and it's going out to query. So just write fearlessly. I'm telling you, just got to write. I mean, helping these young writers just has taught me so many things. Write fearlessly, get the story down, and then worry about everything else later. Your story is important. And get that out there, and then let somebody else help you with the editing, but always share. Feedback is so important at every stage when you're in a project like this. And then you don't feel as isolated. At least I don't. Yeah. So that's my advice.
Wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. I don't know if you've had it. Hang on 2 seconds, Christina, we'll come to you. The podcast that I've launched or published this week was with a guy called Sean Bell, who has just completed running from Cairns, which is north Australia, to Melbourne. And he did that in 60 days.
It's a long run.
He ran 4,000 Ks, which is, I'm not sure how many miles that is. That's probably about 2,500 miles he ran over 60 days. So he averaged about 60 to 70 Ks a day, or that'll be about 40 to 50 miles a day, which is an ultra marathon every day for 60 days. Now, in the podcast, I asked him, I mean, there's got to be some days when you really didn't feel like running, right? Like days where you just felt like staying in bed, days where, you know, he went through some pretty emotional stuff as well. A very good mate and coach of his died on about day 7. So day 7 into day 60, he struck a tragedy. So there was a lot of things to overcome. And I asked him, how did you get through it? I mean, what did you, because I think the bottom line is getting through any kind of block or adversity or struggle or whatever. The answer sits in between your 2 ears. Yeah, that's where the answer is. And I said to him, well, I asked him, how did you do it? How did you keep going? And he said, I asked myself a question, or every day I'd ask myself the question, what if I can? And how will it feel when I do? And he said it was that question that he asked himself, that vision. What if I can do it? And imagine how I feel when I run across the finish line. And he said there was that simple question that prompted the answer that got him moving again. And I think one of the issues we all have is we ask ourselves the wrong questions. Like, what is wrong with me? Who's ever asked themselves that question? Why can't I get it right? What is wrong with me? Why do I procrastinate? Because the problem is, second you ask a question, guess what you do? You answer it, right? Whatever question you ask yourself, you will answer it. Why am I so tired, right? I'm tired because I'm working long hours. I'm tired because the weather's crappy. I'm tired because, and all of a sudden what you're doing is you're reinforcing tired, rather than asking yourself the question, well, how do I get more energy? What can I do? What can I do to feel inspired? When you ask yourself a different question, your mind goes to work to find the answer to that question, and it puts you in a totally different frame of mind. So that, I think it's worth, Kaz, if you haven't listened already, have a listen to the podcast. It's called What If. That it would absolutely be worth having a listen to, because 4,000 Ks in 62 days, my gosh, that is an incredible achievement. And, he got through it because he asked himself the right question. Now, obviously, there was preparation and the nutrition, and he had a team of people around him. So, but he also had a mindset that would lead him one day at a time to where he wanted to be. Christina, you want to say something?
I was just going to give some advice to Karen. It's very basic. Warm slippers and a bunny rug on your knee, and just make sure you're physically feeling cozy. Yeah, at home clothes.
Tanya is demonstrating that right now. Show us again, Tanya. What have you got there? A little hot water bottle with an owl on it.
This is my bunny rug.
Yeah.
Because I wrap myself in it. I can sit in it and wrap it around my knees because it's quite cold up here at Buckarumby, up in the mountains. Yeah. We often have around 2 or 3 degrees overnight. And I work in a room that's too cold and too hot, but it has a wonderful view and it's lovely and quiet. And I just adjust for the weather with fans or bunny rugs. Sometimes I have my beanie on too.
Yeah.
That's a real hoot. My husband took a photo of me. The family couldn't believe it.
That's awesome. That's great advice. Anyway. And it is simple, isn't it? And often the answer is simple.
Mm-hmm.
The answer is very simple. Good one. Okay, well, hopefully that's helped, Karen. Anyone else got any thoughts or ideas or breakthroughs or great achievements or things I want to recognise and celebrate? Denise.
Well, since our last Zoom meeting, I had eye surgery, and so I couldn't write for 15 days because I couldn't see.
Yay!
I had stitches over my eye, but I recovered from it, got my stitches out, and started back writing and editing. And I am using this form that Andrew offered up during that class that we took, and I have my goals, and then I'm checking them off. I'm on day 38 of 63.
Yay!
I have all 3 goals except writing because I had 15 days off. So I'm behind on the writing with my other 2 goals of exercise and water consumption. I'm on track. And having that, the thought of not checking that off every day keeps me going. And now that I'm back writing again and I'm editing, on my hike one morning, I was listening to a podcast and they were talking about writing books. And there was a published author who quoted Hemingway that said, the first drafts are all shit. And I am realizing that as I'm editing. As you know, I've said before, Andrew thinks my book is too long. So my longest chapter of 20 pages is now 10. And I just eliminated an entire chapter that will be in my next book. All these stories that I'm telling are going to be in another book. And I'm staying with the facts and the information I'm trying to get out to people to help them. And I'm eliminating all the stories. And so I had one whole chapter that was nothing but stories. So I sat down to edit this long chapter and wound up putting it away. So, and on to the next one. And so I'm having great success with this piece of paper every day to check my boxes off that I'm writing, I'm exercising, and I'm drinking all my water. So I'm pretty happy. I don't have anything to complain about.
Isn't it? That's awesome, man. Isn't it amazing when you're doing, you always feel good when you're doing it, even if you're not doing it perfectly. When you're doing, you feel better. When you're thinking about it, that's the worst place you want to be. You do not want to be sitting in your head. You want to be moving, and that's what Denise is doing. So congrats, Denise. And isn't it simple? Drinking some water, doing some walking, doing some riding every day. It's such a simple thing to do, but what a powerfully motivating, empowering thing it is to do. So that's wonderful. Great example, Denise. Thank you for sharing that.
Andrew, I'd like to share.
Hello, Annie.
Hello. I've been out of action, as you would know, for about 4 months.
Missed you.
I had an accident. I broke my pelvis on holidays and ended up in hospital, and then I had an infection. I ended up in hospital again, and then they put me on these antibiotics that nearly killed me. So I'm still recovering from that. So it's been about 3-4 months, and I've been in lockdown pretty much because I haven't been able to do anything. But I'm good now. I'm starting to get back into life now. But I did have a silver lining while I was in hospital. I did an interview about 2 years ago, over 2 years ago, just after my book was published, with a magazine. And I think they interviewed me in June, and they said it'll be in the September issue. And September came and went, and October came and went, and November came and went, and another year went, and I couldn't believe it. And then all of a sudden I got an email while I was in hospital saying, oh, we're going to be publishing your article, or your article in it'll be in this September's issue, like next month. So after 2.5 years, so don't give up, people. If something's happened, it just doesn't seem to happen. I couldn't believe it. I just gave up. I thought it's never going to happen. And so I'm going to be in this magazine. It's a national magazine, National Australian magazine. I'm sure you'll be able to find it online. And the only thing is, it's a great magazine. It's called That's Life. And I'm just hoping I'm not going to be between the ex-murderer and my daughter had an affair with my husband sections. That's all. But I figure any publicity is good publicity.
You'll be the inspiration, Annie.
Hey?
You'll be the inspiration.
Yeah. So I'm really excited about that, and it'll be interesting to see if there is any response, because I've pretty much been doing nothing with my book because I haven't been able to. And the other thing too is also when I see call outs, people who are in organisations calling out to just calling out in general on Facebook or Instagram or something, I usually respond. And I responded to this one, and it's given me a spot on Author of the Day on a global Facebook Live writing group. It's like a book club. And so that's also going to be coming up in October. So I'll be live on this Facebook page, web page, whatever it is. So yeah, so that'll be really fascinating. There's about 6,500 members in this group, but I'm sure it'll probably be about 10 people turn up or something. But
I'm sure there'll be more than 10.
But anyway, so there's a couple of opportunities. The magazine one, they found me through another newsletter. Because when I first published my book, I was so prolific and proactive. So they found me in this other newsletter that they'd written about me, and then they invited me to go into their magazine. So that's pretty exciting stuff.
That is exciting stuff. That's great, Annie. Congrats. And sorry to hear about your challenges, but as always, you have overcome. As you do.
I know everyone says you're going to write another chapter or you're going to write another book. I said, you've got to be kidding me. I've had 3 fractures in 2.5 years. But you know what's happened in those 2.5 years? It's just been COVID right through. So I've had no fun, at least with my book. I had lots of fun in between my bits and pieces. So, no, I won't be adding anything to the book about it. Too boring.
That's awesome. Now, Annie, can you share the details for the Author of the Day? And Karen, can you pop the link in the chat?
I can, yeah.
If you can find it, that'd be awesome.
Yep.
Thank you very much. And good on you, Annie. Good to see you back. Back and up and about.
Yes.
Be careful, all right? Don't break any more bones.
Oh, look, no more falls. I mean, never again.
Good one. Okay. Anyone else want to share where they're at the moment? Hello, Tanya. Let's hear from you. You've got a
hello, everybody.
Snugly warm.
Sorry, I've got a bit of a sniffle, but at least you can't catch it online. So I'm feeling quite positive and motivated. After I spoke to Andrew last week, I was a bit negative, Nancy. But anyway, I've come up with an idea. This is my first ever book, and I've started writing a children's chapter book. And I've finally, the big questions and sort of wondering what sort of book it's going to be, and just sort of starting to work out, talking about my life story. And now it's actually starting to sound interesting. I've done the first couple of pages and it was a bit catchy, and I did a couple of pages and started crying and went, I remember what it's like to be young. So it was really good.
That's great. That's awesome. And again, there's the example of when you're in action, things happen, right? Like the answers come when you start moving. When you sit there and wait for the answers to come, you're going to be waiting a long time. As soon as you just start doing something, answers will start to come. So that's awesome, Tanya.
Well, I journal and just dump like all the whinging on the page as well. And then I highlight when I'm actually doing the book, and I'll just write like any negative stuff or dump stuff on the page. And then when I actually start the story, I highlight that section where the story starts. So I just don't stop. I just keep going. And even when I'm like writing, I just don't stop writing. I write whatever, like, this isn't working, why is it not working, like, oh my gosh, like, and all the other stuff I dump until it just starts to come out.
Yeah, that's a great strategy. That really works. I don't know if other people have used it, but just start writing anything. Best way to beat writer's block is just write anything. Write that you've got writer's block. Very quickly you'll work through it. So that's great. Good on you, Tanya. That's wonderful, and thank you for sharing that. Any other thoughts, ideas? Fred, let's just quickly go to Fred, because Fred, mate, give us a bit of an update. When's your book due?
Well, I just almost finished my most recent review. They sent it to me 2 days ago. In a couple more hours, I'll finish reviewing it and send it back to them. And that hopefully will be it, because I only have like one change or two changes to make. So I'm getting closer and closer. But a very exciting moment for me was when I realized I had an ISBN number. Working as a library all these years, that's a big deal for me. I realized I have my own ISBN number. Woo-hoo! So we'll see what happens. Hopefully it'll be very soon. Yeah.
You'll have to have an ISBN party.
There you go. Yes, by all means.
Celebrate. Have a cocktail.
Yeah.
Well done, Fred. That's great news. So the next forum, you're going to be very close to having that book in your hands. We're looking forward to seeing it.
I believe so, yes.
Because it's been a journey, hasn't it, mate? It's been
a long time, yes.
I don't know when you and I actually started working together, but it's more than 5, 6, 7 years.
Yeah.
At 20.
I did not work steadily all the time. I just put it down and then pick it back up. But when I started to work on it all the time, that's when things started to come together.
Yeah.
And then I met Karen, which was great. She really helped me out with the editing. And so it's looking good.
Yeah, it's good.
I'm very happy.
That's awesome. Now, Fred, can you just share what the book's about? Because Tanya's just asked. Tell us a little bit about it, because it's quite a unique and it's going to be a very powerful book.
Well, it's 2 parts. First part is it outlines my experiences working at a prison in California. I worked at a prison in California for 25 years. So a lot of it are stories that took place, things that happened while working there. And they're sort of unique. What gave me that idea originally was, over the years, I would read about different books. There was one book I read about a nurse that worked in the ER, and her story was really fascinating. Another book I read was a fireman, what takes place in a firehouse, like over a 48-hour period. That book was riveting. So then I started thinking, well, I could do that, because everybody's experiences are unique. If you work at a factory, that could be something that the average person would not have insight in. So that gave me the idea. So I started from that perspective, thinking of different things that happen and making notes and then writing that. Along the way, the incident with George Floyd happened. And I became disillusioned with many of my fellow Christians and their response to it. And so the second part of the book is about the need for Christians to be on the right side of history but more important to be on the right side of biblical philosophy or principles. And so that's what the second part is about. Yeah.
It's awesome, mate.
You just have to read the book.
You will. We will. Well, just so everyone knows, when you've got a friend, we will do an online launch for everyone, so people will be able to find out more and buy the book. So that'll be exciting.
Looking forward to it. Yes.
Yay!
It's certainly on my must-read again list.
Yeah,
It's
Karen,
brilliant.
good to read it. It'd
It's
be
a
good to read it.
brilliant book.
It'll be good for you to read it without having to correct it.
Yeah.
It is very good, and I've said that to Fred all along. It's a very good book.
Thank you, Karen. Appreciate it.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Thanks, Fred. Anyone else got any thoughts, ideas, any messages, any insights? Yeah, Rosina, we haven't heard from you yet. You're the only one we haven't heard from. So we need to hear from you.
Really? Oh, no, there's a few more. There's a few more. Hello, everyone. Okay, where have I been at? I think I've been over my manuscript for a while. And I finally, what do I want to say? It's interesting to, okay, I've been over it for a while and have left it for quite some time. And I'm now doing the edit. I've had an editor, and I'm now adding things, which is just is requiring me to do some research, which is fine. But I don't know if other people have felt like that. But I feel like I just want to move on to other projects. But I'd like to get this one ticked off. Something I do want to ask.
Rosina, we're losing you.
I listened to something interesting the other day and she was talking about how we all have different phases. Hello? No?
Yeah, we lost you there for a sec, so you might need to go back and start that bit again. Your internet's not so good. All right. Okay, well, while we're waiting for Rosina to get reconnected, Kat, you better hold that till we've got Rosina back.
Can you hear me?
Well, yes.
Yes? Yep.
Yes.
Sorry, guys, I'm on Kangaroo Island, so depending on which way the wind blows, the internet's a bit notorious. So one question I wanted to ask, and I finished my manuscript a long time ago, 3 or 4 years ago, Andrew, and I think I've been dragging to get the editing and last bits done. But something I listened to the other day about a concept called wintering, that we all have times in our lives where we're not madly chasing or madly productive, but we just need to kind of be nurturing and just do the basics, go for a walk, look after ourselves, that kind of stuff. And I think what I'm trying to say is, rather than be down on myself for not having had it done already, I've got to look back and say, well, obviously I wasn't ready to have it done at that point. And I actually probably feel that all those things can have contributed to me today. So hopefully when the book is finally finished and in my hands, I will be a stronger, better person to present it as well. Because I know that 3 years ago, there's no way that I would have been able to stand up with it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Anybody? Yeah. So, yes, do something every day. I think that's really important. But I think I just need acknowledge the times that I just need to be nice to myself and not so hard as well, I think.
Yeah, no, that's a great point, Rosina. And, you've got every reason to be proud of yourself for what you've done and where you are, no matter, even though you're not where you want to be. And I think it's important to recognise the fact that we're not going to feel like writing our book every day. We're just not. We're not going to feel like touching it. We're not going to feel like we're going to be over it. I mean, Kat said that she's over, she's felt that. I think we all have. And the key to this is not letting the feeling stop you.
Yeah.
Acknowledging the feeling, for sure, validating the feeling? Absolutely. Not beating yourself up because of the feeling. But here's the key: act anyway. Because this is, unfortunately, most people, the big question is, do our emotions affect our actions, or do our actions affect our emotions? And that's a decision. A lot of people allow their emotions to affect their actions. I don't feel like today, so they don't do it. They feed each other. So the day that you go, oh, I'm so over this, and then we start to justify, oh, I deserve a day off. Who's ever said that? Yeah, I deserve a day off. I've been really good. But when we're talking about 5 minutes or 10 minutes on your book, it's not like it's a 3-hour campaign, So the key to this: validate, acknowledge your feelings. Yes, I feel crappy today. I really couldn't be stuffed writing my book today, or whatever I have to do, but I'm going to do it anyway. And then I'm going to feel good about that. And then I'm going to reward that. And then I'm going to sit on the couch. Whoever was said sit on the couch. I'm not sure who was talking about sitting on the sit on the couch and watch a bit of TV. I love sitting on the couch watching TV. I tell you when you love it even more, when you do it as a reward for actually doing what you don't want to do, or what you don't feel like doing. So you go, right, I'm going to write for 5 minutes. And then as a reward, I'm going to sit on the couch and watch my show, or I'm going to do whatever it is for you that excites you. Does that make sense? So yes, we're going to get stuck. Every one of us is going to get stuck. I mean, success is not about feeling motivated every day. That's for sure. Success is about saying, okay, I'm not motivated, but I'm going to do it anyway. That's the key to success, is that ability to do it when you don't feel like doing it. That will become a habit. That will become a routine, just like putting it off and making excuses will also become a habit and a routine. So, sorry, Rosanna, you were going to say something?
I think that's it's been a great learning, Andrew, and I think you're spot on there. I think I've spent a long time beating myself up for not doing the big stuff, or enough, whatever that was, and not appreciating that just a little bit every day or some is okay, can be okay, can contribute to the whole. So it's that's really important. So yeah, but I've taken this long to learn that one.
Yeah, but you're learning, Rosina. It doesn't matter how long it takes, as long as you learn it. Lise, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I did want to say something. I think, Rosina, I've done a similar thing after my first book. I've started branching off. I'll write a short story, or I'll do this, I'll do something else. And I just sort of kept going off on all sorts of different tangents. But I do think the motivation is key here, because I've sort of had to go back to basics and say, why am I writing this book? Why did I want to in the first place? And this is my second book, but it's been like years since I did my first one. So I've been off on all sorts of tangents, and I had to really look at, what did I want to get out of these books, and why am I trying to tell this story? And the first time I was really, really motivated. I wanted to get this message out, and I've had to go back to that, like what do I want? So, well, it's not a plan, it's the themes that I want to get out of it, and that's just made me get more excited about it. So I'm now excited. So you do have to be motivated to be, but I think now I know why I'm doing it, rather than just to write a book. So I think that makes a difference too. So
that makes all the difference in the world. That makes the difference. If you're not clear on your why, then motivation is going to be the elusive mystical creature like the bunyip. Where is motivation? It's gone. Motivation, you create it by fixating on what you want and why. That's the key to motivation.
And I think I'm back there.
The word motivation, you've got to be real careful. We've got to be really careful how we use motivation, and think that that's the answer to success. It's not. Doing it when you're not motivated is the key. Motivation will always get you started. I mean, you know what it's like when you get a vision. You know, often these forums we leave feeling inspired, right? Like I do. Right, I feel right, yeah, and off you go, and then before you know it, you're back into the yeah, but I can't be bothered today, and this is crap, and we get into our little head, and we tell our stories, and we ask those dumb questions to ourselves. So this is why the 63 days is so important, because it's the routine that will get the job done no matter what. So the key is, how do you remove motivation from being necessary? The key is routine. That's the answer. I mean, how many of you brush your teeth when you're not motivated? I mean, we all do. We all brush it. We don't need motivation to brush our teeth. Why not? Because that's part of our DNA now. It's that neural pathway in the brain that you just brush your teeth. I mean, how many of you drive the same way every day, whether it's home from work or to work, and you drive in your driveway and you go, can't remember getting here. How did I get here? You don't remember the drive home because it's so implanted. The need for motivation is no longer there. That's the 63 days. And but we're getting through that 63 days. That's the challenge. That's the greatest challenge of all. When you do get onto the other side of that, you find that motivation is no longer a necessity because it's just what you do. Yeah. That's the answer to this. Yes, you need some motivation initially. Yes, you need to really focus while you're going through this change process. But once you've created the rhythm, once you've created that habit, that action, that behavior that's no longer a conscious thought, it's now an unconscious thing that you're doing, then motivation is no longer needed. Okay.
There's a coding trick you might like, Rosina. When programmers, not all, but some programmers use when they're stuck with a bit of code and they can't figure out, like they're looking at the code, it's not doing what they want and they can't figure it out. You call it it's called 5 blank minutes, and you have to look at something else for 5 minutes with the timer on. So you run a timer, and it's like a lot of people just pull up, they bring up like a blank terminal or whatever, but you could bring up like a blank Word document. And that first minute, like you just kind of like, it's like a reset. So it's like the first minute you're just staring at blanks. You can't see the problem anymore, but your brain is still working on the problem, and it refocuses you. That lets you kind of refocus. And chances are, before the 5 minutes is out, you start kind of making notes of like what else you could try. So even with like the editing or something, like I found that works for me sometimes when I can't figure out what I'm trying to say in a particular or how to write it. So I open up a blank one and I put on a timer. So I don't like just sit there for an hour, like wallowing. But then if you get to the end of the 5 minutes and you still haven't done it, it's like, right, that's actually a good sign that you need, like you're done with that problem for right now. Like you need either tap someone else in or something like that. So it's a way to proactively both break a circuit and restart a circuit. And if you get to that, and I think getting that to Andrew's point with the routine, even if you start with a blank page, like, and the 5 minute timer runs out and you really can't do anything, like, then at least you did the action of trying. And that alone, like, is just look at a blank page for 5 minutes, like that, like we could do. I find sometimes when I'm doing that and I write then down, like within a minute or something, I'm like, oh, actually this. And then sometimes I just create a list. And sometimes that's the stuff that I think, to Tanya's point, that's the stuff that was blocking my head, but I couldn't articulate it. And that staring into blank space for 5 minutes, like that is an action, even at my least motivated, like I can take. And it is actually an action because it's actually a chance to, it's kind of like a meditation in its own way. It's an action to unblock and start moving forward. And if you don't need it, you just do something else. But at least I get to the end of that and I'm like, to Andrew's point, it's like, I tried, like I actually did do something. And I do feel better walking away, even if the page is still blank. I feel better because I gave a slice of my time and energy to it. And if it didn't happen that day, that's okay, because I still kept that routine. And so then the next day I don't feel like, oh God, oh no. So cross-stealing tricks.
Yeah, awesome. Good. Okay. Thanks for that, Kat. there's a couple of book launches coming up, and unfortunately neither of them are here, which is a shame. Justine, as you all know, has just recently published her book, her kids book called Same but Different. I've just in the chat, I'm just putting the links for the launches, and I know some of you I think are already attending, but this one is Thursday morning Australia time, so it'll be Wednesday evening US time. So that's Justine's, and then the other one is Oliver, who, hang on a sec, where are we? There it is. Oliver's book launch is next, same time as this next week. So next Saturday morning, 10 a.m. Melbourne time, and it will be Friday evening US time. But here's the link for Oliver's. So if you're able to make it, that would be awesome. Just obviously as a support to them, because we will all be there to support you when you have your book launch. Absolutely. So so they're in there too. So that's awesome. Before we wrap up today, is there anyone got any final thoughts they want to share, or ideas, or acknowledgements, or questions? Anything?
Thank you, everyone. It was really good feedback to hear all of the different ways of getting your motivation back. So thank you.
Thanks, Cass. Well, then we might end up. We're a little bit early, but that's okay. You can get on with your Friday evening or your Saturday and enjoy this amazing weekend. So whether it's hot, cold, wet, windy, doesn't matter. You're alive, you're upright, you're looking down at the grass, and that is the best position to be. So while you are upright, alive, looking down the grass, make the most of this weekend, guys. Just do what you need to do, have the fun you need, just be grateful for what you've got, and keep doing the amazing stuff you're doing. And thank you for being part of my life and this awesome group. Inspires me every time we catch up. So I'll send out the email with the next one. That'll be in probably 4 weeks. So it'll be sort of first half with September. So the Australians will be happy because that's spring. The Americans not so happy because you're starting to get a bit chillier. Anyway, have a wonderful weekend, guys, and thanks for being part of this.
Good to see everybody. Bye.